Wrights and Sites is a group of 4 artist researchers with a particular interest in site, landscape and journey, particularly focusing on peripatetic practices. So walking has become very important to us. We started working in theatre and live art, but over the last decade and a half our work has broadened and engaged with a variety of different spatial practices: geography, architecture, archaeology, visual art. But for us, walking seems to be the beginning of most of our work. Well, rather than make a large-scale, single-sited, monumental piece of public art, for us, well, in some ways our project is that, because it encompasses the entire Weston, but in other ways it's more a sort of series of micro interventions and a sort of viral approach to introducing ideas about architecture into a variety of sites around Weston, from some of the more established and obvious and heritage or municipally framed sites like the museum or the beach, but also connecting with sites that would not usually probably be engaged with in terms of public art, like allotments, shops, restaurants. We started thinking that the work might be more spread out, more of a constellation of nodes that people can join up for themselves, that could be organised. In fact, we have organised them into certain layers that refer to architecture, like the panoptic, the great architect, which deals with Hans Price, the amateur builder, thinking about sheds and donkey railings, light, time, the botanical. But these layers are porous, and many of these nodes refer to several of these layers, and the walker dealing with our work can slip across different layers, as their eye might here in the quarry fall across a number of different geological strata. But the other thing that's important for us to say, I think, is that the layers that we have identified in relation to the architecture of Weston are only 8 of an infinite series of layers that people could invent their own. So this is an example of the design of the signs, and Simon and I, in one of our research visits, came across this old, early 20th century cast iron sign that forbid cycling on the footpath, and we've used that formal shape as we've echoed it with these signs that have been designed by Polymekanos, and they're quite simple. We have a symbol that represents each layer. We have the text, which references a particular architectural feature in the location of the sign, and then an instruction which is something for the observer to do, and then a link to the website. I guess if you glanced at this, you might see it as some formal instructive sign like the sign in Uphill, but actually if you do a double take, then you will notice that there's something different.
I suppose we think about the outcomes of this project as a number of layers of responses to Weston and looking for its wonders, and as a result of that we have devised a number of ideas about how we might see and how other people might see aspects of Weston-super-Mare, but also ideas around how people might want to respond to the place, and that's via plaques that have got text on them that make an observation about a place, but also invite people to do something about that particular environment.
That's quite important to stress, is that the outcome of the project for us is not the signs in itself, but it's what they might prompt in the people who see the signs. And this is how our work connects back to the theatre that we use, well, that we engage with and that we started off with, is that really we think of it as about prompting action more than we think of it about making a beautiful object.